Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. The other men in the select group. Now, anybody who's followed my videos, read my blogs, listened to my podcast, they know I divide the male population into two groups, select and non-select. Now, usually when I'm talking about the select, I usually talk about Mr. Goodbar. And there's a specific reason for that. One, Mr. Goodbar is that man that has natural sex appeal, raw sex appeal. And that's what I teach in my books. And once you break down my books, that's what I'm trying to help men to develop, their raw sexual energy. So I don't talk as much about the other group of men in the select. Y'all have to excuse me, this weather again. And those other group of men are referred to as masked men. Now, understand what the mask is. It's not that these men are putting on a facade. Oh, no. What they have is real. You know, whatever they have, and it's usually in terms of decent looks, money, and status. That's the best way to understand a masked man. They have some level of power, they have some level of influence. The mask is what the women see. See, a woman isn't drawn to a masked man the same way that she is drawn to Mr. Goodbar. Like Mr. Goodbar, he can be dirt poor. Not a penny, don't have two pennies to rub together, and he's going to get plenty of women. The masked man, he's going to have some stuff. He's going to have to have a certain amount of money, a certain level of status and popularity, certain material goods, and then that's what the women see when they deal with him. Now, one thing I said in a couple videos ago when I talked about select men turning into non-select, I said if you really think about it, the standard in the community is really the masked man, and not Mr. Goodbar. Now I know, like I said, I promote Mr. Goodbar, and when you look at it from the point of the most desirable to women, it's Mr. Goodbar. That being said, Mr. Goodbar in any community, in any racial group, represents at best a very generous 10%. And I'm saying an extremely generous. It's probably less than that. To be honest, it might be closer to 5%. Reason why it's hard to really judge, because a lot of men who on the surface might look like a Mr. Goodbar are really just masked men who really just, they physically look good. They got enough stuff that the women will go for them. Now, here's the thing with the masked man. They're not Mr. Goodbar, but because of their money, status, and degree of looks, they have an aura that mimics Mr. Goodbar. And as a result, they are in the select group, and they are going to get women in their prime. See, one of the things I want to clear up, the notion, and that notion comes from that whole idea of alpha fucks, beta bucks. There's like the bad boys get the pussy first, tear up the woman, have their fun, and then the woman settle down with the beta bucks. No, the masked man is getting that prime pussy too. But he's just not getting it the same way as Mr. Goodbar. And when I say they are more the standard, it's more of them. And plus, one thing that the masked man will have is money. Because understand, in all these relationships, money plays a role. There are very few women, really few, if you really look at it, who will get with a man who doesn't have money. Even have babies. Like, I'll give you an example. A while ago, there was that whole thing with that cat on the Iyanla show who had like 34 kids. And then they did another show with all these other men who had a large amount of kids themselves. These weren't poor dudes. Like that particular dude, Jay Williams, was a music producer. And then a friend of mine knew one of the dudes on there, and that dude, that was a college graduate, a frat dude, in fact. And then I'm going to get into that whole frat thing in a second. But all the men who get in play are not just some broke deadbeats laying up on a woman. Yeah, there's enough of them. But the majority of men, they're going to have some money. They're going to have that status. And here's the reason. The sex drive in most women is conditional. It's based on an emotional condition. Most women do not get aroused naturally or freely. There has to be some type of condition to be met for them to allow themselves to be aroused by a man. Let me say that again. There has to be some type of condition met by the man before she will allow herself to be aroused. And that's a big thing. Let me give you an example. You have a woman. She feels like she wants a rich man, right? And she can't stand poor men. When she is around men that she considers poor and can't do anything for her financially, she will walk in a very defensive manner. Her voice tone will be harsh if she even bothers to speak to him. I mean, she might even get to the point where, if they even say boo to her, she's like ready to charge them with harassment. It can get to the point where if even one comes close enough to her, she might even try to strike them. She is that defensive against men who she sees as poor. Now, take that same woman with the emotional condition of wanting a rich man. When she is around men who she considers rich, her whole demeanor changes. What happens then is that she will be more approachable. Her body language will be say, "Come get this," Whereas around a poor man, she might have walked in a hard manner, a defensive manner. She's going to walk around these rich men in a soft, receptive manner. Oh yeah. For the old heads out there, she's going to be switching. And she's going to make sure that tight dress on her looks real good. And if a guy says, he could ask her for the time, and she's going to try to engage in a conversation. That's most women. And understand, in this culture, Western culture, most women are socialized to go for the money. Now, I know somebody will say, well, what about all these women going for these thugs and these D-boys? I want y'all to really think about what I just said. Money. The one thing that D-boys bring to the table is money. It's not that the woman's excited about that drugs, the drugs and all of that. She'd probably much rather not be bothered with it, but she's concerned about the money he's bringing. Because if that same D-boy was just some cat working at a fast food place, she probably wouldn't give him the time of day. In fact, there have been many authors who suggested, particularly in the black community, that women can play a key role in changing many of the dynamics if they would just stop having sex with some of these dudes. But, the reason why they having sex with these dudes, they bring in the money. And see, that's the key. And really what D-boys are wearing a mask. They're not good bars. Because if they were good bars, they wouldn't need that money. What they are, they're wearing a mask. That's a mask right there. And, just to clear up that thing, because a lot of guys, getting back to that alpha fucks, beta bucks thing, thinks like, women will just be interested in the men, once they made some money and they done had their fun, got 2 or 3 kids. Those aren't really masked men. Those men are still non-select. Those beta guys are still non-select. Because a true masked man, he's going to get that early. Because that mask, I use the D-boys as an example, and then I alluded to like frats. And this is particularly in the black community. White community too. Like in the white communities, especially on college campuses, frat guys be making out like bandits for no other reason than they are in a particular frat. That's a mask right there. That's a mask. If a guy can come up and a woman see like certain letters on his chest and she's ready to suck his dick, that's a mask. In the black community with the black frats, black college campuses or campuses with a significant amount of black students, whichever frat is running the yard, and anybody's been to a college know what I mean when I say running the yard. The dudes in that frat, they gonna get the pussy. That's a mask. They're getting these young girls because, you know, many women, black women included, white women to a great extent too, just in Western culture, period, are socialized to go for that top dog. Isn't that just a biological thing? You know, especially white community, a lot of those, especially on college campuses, a lot of those women, they going for their MRS degree. They going strictly to find a husband. And it's the same thing in the black community. So, you know, there's been many a woman turned out not by some thug or not by the campus pretty boy, but by, you know, the big men on campus, the frats. You know, at some campuses it might be the jocks. They turned out by that. That's another mask. That status. It has nothing to do with, like, if like I've known some like ball players on college campuses, since I'm using those examples. You know, once they start, like either they left the team or they weren't starting anymore, they weren't getting minutes, all of a sudden the women fucking them, the percentage went down greatly. That's because the women weren't going for that person as who they are, but their mask. And if you look at much of the dating advice out here, including some of my own, it's telling you to get that status, get that money and power. You know, when a woman see a man in a certain type of suit, it's not just his style, but they like saying, oh, wait a minute, that's an expensive suit. That's an expensive watch. He must have some money. They're going for the status. They're going for the mask. That's why when some guys, they change and they decide they want to get out of that, they take off that mask, you know, they sell that car, they live a more modest lifestyle, they notice the number of women that they deal with drops down greatly. And and because they realize keeping up that mask is taking a toll on them. But make no mistake, when a man dons that mask, when he reaches that certain level of status, that popularity, certain professions, like Wall Street traders got groupies, you know, or if you go in certain areas and you tell a woman, hey, you know what, I'm an attorney or I'm a doctor. Shit, they're getting wet on the spot. Why? Because of that emotional condition that I talked about earlier. And that's the masked man's game. And, you know, because of those reasons, that's why I say the masked man might, even though, yeah, Mr. Goodbar is still the most desirable, but not enough. And, you know, plus there's some women, even if a dude is a good boy, because of their conditioning, if that dude doesn't have a certain amount of money, they might not mess with him at all. Especially if those women are from more upper middle class, or at least have the, you know, aspirations to get there. They ain't gonna mess with some dude just because he, you know, he got a cute smile, or that he's some thug. Now I know somebody say, well, what about those instances where these college women or college educated women got with that thug? That's still a mask, man. And then what about those times when a woman got with a guy and he was broke and all of that? Dude, I mean, it's still going to be that nothing's absolute. And then that's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing with all of this, man. Nothing is absolute. But if you look at the tendency, and if you really just pay attention to everything, and if you really want to just be honest, if you got a certain status, you're going to get attention from women. If you got a certain power, if you got a certain amount of money, and this don't even mean you tricking off on them. But it could be like, shoot, you can take a woman shopping, you can get her nice gifts or something, whatever she see, or she might just say, you know what, she wants to live a comfortable life and she know you can provide it. You know, it ain't even about tricking on her. But she sees that, or, you know, she wants to be, you know, even some women in the church. Yeah, I know some women, they all in the church, but they trying to be first ladies and stuff, because being a minister, that's a mask too. You know, being head of the church. You know, if a dude head of a mega church, shoot, he getting plenty of play. If he, if he one of these dudes who want to minister to the homeless and, live a very modest life, he might be lucky to get one woman feeling him. So, I just wanted to share that. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. All of this is deeper. I mean, like in any of these videos, when I talk about stuff, I'm just giving you a snippet. Because I could do a whole series on masked men. I could do a whole series on Mr. Goodbar, the gamesmen, and the nice guys. Because this shit goes deep. Because within each group, there are several subcategories within them too. So, but, that's it for today. Just wanted to share that. Talk to y'all later. Peace.